On this Monday night, Fredericton still searching for answers after that deadly shooting while police ask for patience. Although we are learning more about the man charged, his gun, and the lives cut all too short, most details remain under wraps. Tonight, we'll break down what we know about that horrifying morning.
Also tonight, could Canada become too diverse? How Maxime Bernier's tweets sparked controversy even within his own party. And she was fired from The Apprentice, then the White House, but Omarosa isn't done yet. This is The National.
It is difficult to fathom what Matthew Vincent Raymond was thinking when he allegedly opened fire from that apartment window on Friday, and the motive is still very much a mystery. But we are learning more about him tonight. We're also learning more about how that fateful morning unfolded. Today, police said one of the officers involved was wearing a body cam, and that footage is being examined. The officers killed were wearing body armor. We'll have more on that in a moment. And some people were allowed to return home tonight.
Investigators have finished collecting the evidence required from the apartment buildings at the scene of the shootings. The buildings have now been released back to the owner.
Now, you may have read or heard this morning about other details involving the frantic events leading up to the arrest. We are no longer allowed to report those details because of a court order. But we can tell you some more about the alleged shooter. Kayla Hounsell spoke to some of the people who know him well.
3 days after a man gunned down 4 people, including 2 police officers, things changed at this apartment complex. Police could be seen inside sifting through cash after removing the bullet-punctured glass. Matthew Vincent Raymond is facing 4 counts of first-degree murder. This is him in the 1988 Fredericton High School yearbook. His neighbor today is shocked.
He was sweet to talk to. Another senior lady and I always had a comical chat with him in the hall. He wasn't over vocal at all, but he was just sweet, smiled, nice looking dude. And I would just love to go to the hospital and go, what happened?
Stephen Carter is wondering the same thing. He says he's known Raymond since he was a child.
He came along one day with his lawnmower and said, "Hey, mister, do you want your lawn done?"
Carter describes Raymond as a recluse who rode his bike everywhere he went and spent a lot of time in his mother's basement playing video games.
It changes people's minds when you have no communication and you're constantly looking at a screen, something powing in the background, blowing up, shooting. But I still don't see that what he was doing in his basement led to what happened the other day. Something different in Matthew snapped.
A former coworker told CBC News Raymond often talked about playing video games like Call of Duty, a first-person shooter game, and that it's possible he had a hard time telling the difference between the games and real life. Police say the suspect had a license to use the weapon.
The long gun, we believe, that was used in this event is commonly available for purchase. In other words, it wasn't restricted or prohibited.
Carter says he wants people to know Raymond was kind and normal most of the time.
It's not the boy that I knew. It's not the boy that I knew.
Raymond is scheduled to appear in court 2 weeks from today. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Fredericton.
Now, in the aftermath of the shooting, there have been questions about how well-equipped officers were to handle the situation, specifically the kind of protective gear they had.
Thank you for the question. All of our officers are equipped with a body armor.
It's still unknown, though, whether the first responding officers, Constables Rob Costello and Sarah Burns, were wearing their everyday soft body armor that you can sort of see there in those pictures, or heavier duty, hard body armor. And that can be kept in the trunk of the police cruiser. And in that case, it's up to an officer's discretion whether and when to take it out. Now, last night we brought you Jackie McLean's story. She is the widow of Constable Rob Costello. McLean told CBC New Brunswick that her partner would want to be remembered for his sense of humor. And it is that memory that's helping her kids, Costello's stepkids, smile a bit as they try to process the loss of a father figure and role model. Here's 11-year-old Katie and 13-year-old Zach Steves with how they are remembering their stepdad.
He was funny. He was really funny, and he would always be like teasing Zach, which was my favorite part.
She found that very entertaining.
Yeah. And he would always tell me I was beautiful every single day.
He just gave off this air of just positivity. He was just this person that I would want to be. And I do want to be that person.
I was in bed last night with Mom, and we were there with Cassie, one of my sisters, and I said I didn't realize how much I needed him until he was gone. Because it's true, I didn't really notice anything, and I had gone to a friend's house, and on the way back I was thinking, I was like, when I get home, he's not going to be there. I was there when the 2 policemen showed up to tell Mom, and it's just upset me. It freaks me out a lot, because she just backed up from the door and was screaming no, and it was really upsetting to me.
He was positive. He was the epitome of positive.
He's the best person I ever known.
Very hard to watch. The city of Fredericton will be paying official respects this week to Constables Costello and Burns. A regimental funeral will be held on Saturday at 1 p.m. local time. Information on the procession and how the public can attend will be made available in the coming days. The people of Fredericton are already coming together, though, to honor the lives lost on Friday. Tonight, there was a show of solidarity to connect the whole city, literally, from one side to the other. People joined hands across the Bill Thorpe walking bridge, which spans the St. John River, and along the river banks for a moment of silence. Also today, books of condolence were set out at Fredericton City Hall in memory of those 2 police officers.
Here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. Does Google know where you've been, even when you think you've told it to stop tracking you? What you can do about it.
Plus, Maxime Bernier says more diversity will, quote, destroy what makes Canada great. What it means for the federal Conservatives ahead.
But first, just 64 days until marijuana is legal in this country, and Ontario is shaking up how recreational pot will be sold. The Ford government is scrapping a plan to create government-run cannabis stores. 150 of them were slated to be up and running by 2020, but today the province announced it's privatizing all in-person sales.
The Government of Ontario will not be in the business of running physical cannabis stores. Instead, we will work with private sector businesses to build a safe, reliable retail system that will divert sales away from the illegal market.
But here's the problem. Private stores can't start selling until April of next year, and legalization is set for October 17th of this year. So between those 2 dates, to cover the gap, people will have to purchase their marijuana online through the government-run Ontario Cannabis Store. It's an announcement some are happy about, others are skeptical about, and as Katie Nicholson reports, there's also a warning.
Abby Roach has waited 18 years for this day.
To ensure our communities, our roads.
Roach intends to be one of the first retailers to apply to legally sell pot in Ontario.
I think it's fantastic.
Of course, she's not going to be able to get into the action right away. A regulatory retail framework has to be built. Applicants will have to pass background checks. There will be rules around staff training, hours of operation and pricing. And until all of that is in place, the province is urging Ontarians who want to buy to go online, in part to extinguish the black market.
I do not see the average Joe going only to the legal online dispensary to get their cannabis when they've been buying cannabis now for probably 20 years from an illegal source comfortably.
And what about all the dispensaries already up and running all over the province? Ontario says come October, it will come down hard on anyone selling illegally. Cannabis lawyer Harrison Jordan is telling his clients to believe it.
There's illicit dispensaries all over Ontario, so I would certainly say that if you want to go legal, turn everything off, and so you can come online fresh.
And he says it's not just those who sell pot illegally who could get in trouble.
There's an offense federally against possessing illicit cannabis. So it's certainly possible individuals could be charged for possessing cannabis if they buy it from a street dealer. So that is something interesting that individuals could be subject to.
So will consumers get on board and buy pot online until April?
Yeah, well, truthfully, I don't even use Amazon.
Jordan Prentice says he's going to stick to buying pot the old-fashioned way.
Truthfully, I've been smoking weed for, recreationally, socially, whatever, for a long time now. So if they decide to do whatever they decide to do, I still wouldn't mind just, calling up that old number that's, deep down tucked away in my phone. And
even after its legalization, some habits will die hard. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, a couple of other points about Ontario's new pot plan. Cities will have the chance to forbid retailers from setting up shop in their neighborhoods altogether. And the government-run Ontario Cannabis Store will still supply cannabis to private sellers. And in terms of privatization, Ontario isn't the only province going that route. To varying degrees, private retailers will sell pot in Newfoundland and Labrador, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC. Alberta will have a similar model to Ontario's in that the only way to buy in person will be to go through private stores. In BC, it'll be a mix of private and government-run stores, whereas in Quebec, New Brunswick, PEI, and Nova Scotia, all retail sales will go through the government.
A Conservative MP, one who's already known for controversial opinions, has done it again. In a string of tweets last night, Maxime Bernier slammed the Liberal government for its promotion of diversity. Trudeau's extreme multiculturalism and cult of diversity will divide us into little tribes with less and less in common, the Quebec MP wrote. And then, more diversity will not be our strength. It will destroy what has made us such a great country. Today, Bernier tried to clarify, saying Canada has always been a diverse country, but there is a difference between recognizing diversity and pushing for ever more of it. The CBC's Evan Dyer now on the reaction and what it means for the party.
Maxime Bernier may have conceded the leadership to Andrew Scheer, but he hasn't faded away. Already booted from the shadow cabinet for disagreeing with Scheer over trade and supply management, the latest controversy involves a string of tweets in both official languages.
He's embarrassed Andrew Scheer, and he's embarrassed every Conservative in the country.
If he was embarrassed, Andrew Scheer chose to avoid confrontation and never called Bernier out by name. Conservatives will continue to recognize and celebrate the contributions made to Canada from people from diverse backgrounds that have enriched our history and society, said a spokesperson. Conservative strategist Chad Rogers says it's a rehash of another failed leadership strategy that sought to tap into white anxiety.
Max Bernier's decided to turn to that playbook and pull Kelly Leitch's discredited campaign plan out of the garbage bin.
Liberals say Bernier's not the only Conservative playing with the politics of race.
Again, I mean, how many times are the Conservatives going to go to this well? There's no competition for the votes of bigots in this country. If the Conservatives want to round them up and take them, they can have them.
Bernier's tweets did prompt an angry response from the Conservatives' official critic for immigration, Michelle Rempel. She said those who make such arguments are cowards and accused Bernier of trying to fundraise off the controversy.
An awful lot of members are feeling nostalgic today for Prime Minister Harper's heavy hand on idiot eruptions because Max Bernier wouldn't have tried this under Stephen Harper. He's trying to embarrass someone who defeated him in the leadership and create a problem and make himself look like the hero.
Youth will not! Also significant is the timing. Bernier chose to send his messages on the first anniversary of the riots in Charlottesville, Virginia, a milestone for people who believe whites are under some kind of cultural attack.
We did reach out to Maxime Bernier today to see if he'd talk, Rosie, but he didn't respond.
Okay, he does seem to be trying to reach out to someone here, some group of people. So what is likely to happen next for him?
Well, even if Andrew Scheer reacted quite mildly, there are people in the caucus who are quite angry with Bernier. And if 20% of them were to get together and write letters calling for his standing to be reviewed, he would potentially be at risk of being ejected. The next time the caucus meets is next week. But obviously, he thinks there is a constituency for this kind of politics, and he's making a play to be its leader, whether inside the Conservative Party or outside of it.
Okay, we'll see if he says all this in front of a camera sometime. Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rosie.
We are watching several other stories live for you on The National tonight, including new video of a brazen gunfight near a Toronto playground this weekend. This surveillance video was taken in a parking garage in North York. Someone in the dark Mercedes you see there fires multiple shots at two men. They then run outside, right by a busy playground and pool.
Fire breaks out, there's kids getting on their bikes, taking off, there's kids running behind to try and catch up to their siblings running home.
Police say it's lucky none of the bystanders was hurt, and we are told the two men are going to recover from their injuries. Meanwhile, the hunt is on for the gunman and the Mercedes. Also tonight, the wildfire situation in BC has become so urgent, Ottawa is sending aircraft and troops to help out. 200 Canadian Armed Forces will arrive this week to assist with everything from patrolling contained fires to delivering supplies and evacuating people in remote places. BC asked for help this morning as nearly 600 fires burn across the province.
I've been so many places in my life and time.
And the Queen of Soul, legendary singer Aretha Franklin, is said to be gravely ill and receiving hospice care in Detroit. Local media report the 76-year-old is resting while surrounded by close friends and family. Earlier this year, doctors ordered Franklin to cancel her planned concerts and rest for health reasons.
Still ahead on The National, covert recordings leaked from inside the Situation Room after a former Apprentice star and White House staffer turns on Donald Trump. What's ahead for Omarosa? Next.
And even if you've turned location history off, Google may still be tracking your location and using it. What more you can do about it from Matt Braga up ahead.
And a slithery jailbreak in Ottawa. A boa constrictor is on the loose, and it's our moment of the day.
The best we can do is wait for somebody to see it. The snake is camouflaged. There are hundreds of private properties all around the area where it was lost. I think you'd be looking for a needle in a haystack to go try to find it.
A controversial former White House aide is burning her bridges with the Trump administration, really big time. Omarosa Manigault Newman was one of President Trump's biggest boosters until she was axed last year. Well, it turns out, you may have heard, she recorded her firing and a whole lot more.
Omarosa, what's going on? I just saw on the news that you're thinking about leaving. What happened?
General Kelly came to me and said that you guys wanted me to leave.
No, nobody even told me about it.
So Manigault Newman is now extracting a measure of revenge thanks to some of those embarrassing secret recordings and a tell-all book. As Thomas Degla tells us, it appears she's learned a lot from her old boss.
Back from vacation and back on the offensive, President Trump unknowingly recorded as he has been before. This time by his former staffer, best known by one name, Omarosa.
He is known to be an entertainer, to exaggerate, but I never expected him to lie to the country.
A TV villain on Trump's show, The Apprentice.
Don't be childish. Oh, you're childish, sweetheart.
She got canned by him years ago.
Omarosa has to go. You're fired.
Only to be rehired on his campaign and then in the White House.
Omarosa's actually a very nice person. Nobody knows that. But...
Last December, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly took her into the Situation Room and she hit record.
This has to do with some pretty serious integrity violations. So I'll let it go with that.
Fired once again, she was rolling when the president called.
You know, they run a big operation, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn it. I don't love you leaving at all.
Now, promoting her tell-all book, Manigault Newman is releasing tapes and talking trash about Trump, who she also claims used the N-word as the host of The Apprentice.
There are multiple tapes, let's establish that. And when you read my book tomorrow, which is available tomorrow on Hinge, you'll see that there are 3 different sources who corroborate the different things that he says.
At first, Trump only had one word for her.
Lowlife. She's a lowlife.
Then on Twitter, candidly admitting he kept her in the White House because she only said great things about me.
Trump has threatened to release secret tapes in the past, and he's been haunted by some too. Manigault Newman might not be the only one with recordings from behind those walls.
And so the cycle continues.
In a world of deceit and threats, usually people who live in that kind of a world wind up being not just the perpetrators, but the victims.
All the more meaningful in the most famous house in the world. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Washington.
Former FBI agent Peter Strzok's anti-Trump text messages landed him in front of a congressional committee, and now he's been fired. Strzok was integral in two controversial inquiries, the Russia probe and the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. His downfall was triggered by the discovery of damning texts from 2016. He was grilled about it last month on Capitol Hill.
I will not answer that question.
Hundreds of messages disparaging Trump and sent to a former colleague he was having an affair with.
Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And you replied, no, he's not. We'll stop it.
Republicans used the revelation to try and discredit the Bureau's investigation into the Trump campaign. Strzok was fired Friday, overruling a recommendation for a 60-day suspension and demotion. Trump weighed in today, tweeting, "Just fired Agent Strzok, formerly of the FBI, was in charge of the crooked Hillary Clinton sham investigation. It was a total fraud on the American people and should be properly redone." Next on The National, like it or not, Google's tracking your movements, even when you think you've told it not to. What you can do about it next.
And the Raptors are heading to the playoffs, but not the ones you're probably thinking of.
Green, let's go, boy. I'm telling you, man, can't stop me.
We'll revisit my profile of a young phenom drafted to the Raptors' uprising in the NBA's Esports League. The privacy settings on your iPhone or Android devices may not be enough. Turns out Google is recording your movements even when you explicitly tell it not to. That's what an Associated Press investigation revealed today. The CBC senior technology reporter Matthew Braga has been going over some of these findings, joins us now from Toronto. So Matt, what are the basic ways in which Google is tracking us?
So there's two settings you want to be familiar with. One is called location history, and this is how Google is able to get a sense of where you are in the world, how you move from place to place, where your favorite coffee shop is, what restaurants you might like, how long it takes you to commute to work, for example. And the way it does this is it collects your location while you're using Google apps and services, but also when those services are in the background. And so on Android phones and on iPhones as well with Google services installed, it can collect your location even when you're not using it pretty regularly, which is how it's able to put this picture together. Now, if you disable this setting, you might think that's the end of it, that Google's not tracking your location anymore in any sort of way, but that's not actually the case because there's another setting called web and app activity, which also collects your location in more limited circumstances, but still collects your location all the same. So when you're making a Google search, looking up something on Google Maps, even checking the weather, these direct interactions also have your location appended to them as well. And so that's something separate that you have to go and either remove individually or turn off altogether to minimize that tracking from taking place.
Right, so that's interesting and something that a lot of people may not know, that there are these two settings, location history and the web and app activity. Beyond those two things, I mean, you can turn them off. What's the bigger picture, though?
Well, the bigger picture is, I mean, when you look at the reason why Google is doing this in the first place, there is a certain degree of, I guess, good here, right? They're saying that they provide these services that are supposed to be more relevant to you, these suggestions that are more accurate, more personalized, better recommendations, but there's that transaction where they require your location and your data in order to be able to do that. And they're not the only ones doing that. And that, I think, is the bigger picture here where, you know, you can look at what Google is doing, you can disable these settings, but that's just Google we're talking about. If you look at all of the other apps that a lot of people might be using, then you have individual settings for Facebook that you have to deal with. Your cell phone carrier knows your location. There's lots of actors that if you're the sort of person who wants to minimize this stuff, you have to be really vigilant about all of the different people that you are providing access to on your phone.
A number of different actors and a lot going on under the hood. As you say, Matthew Braga, thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
And we are watching several other stories live on The National tonight, including a new murder charge against the so-called Golden State Killer. Former police officer Joseph DeAngelo is now accused of killing 13 victims. The latest involves the death of community college teacher Claude Snelling in 1975. He was shot while stopping the kidnapping of his 16-year-old daughter. Police say they have physical evidence linking DeAngelo to the killing, but did not elaborate. Dozens of children killed in last week's airstrike in Yemen were buried today. The strike was carried out Thursday by Saudi-led coalition forces, but instead of hitting their intended target, they hit a bus full of kids celebrating the end of summer school. The UN has condemned the attack. Riyadh is defending it as legitimate. Yemen was one of the topics raised in a phone call today between U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the Saudi Crown Prince. Details are thin, but we're told the pair also touched on conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. It's not clear if Pompeo raised the issue of Canada's strained relationship with Saudi Arabia. The diplomatic feud between Saudi Arabia and Canada may be at an all-time high, but I want you to have a listen to this exchange.
Thank you, Canada. You've been very hospitable, and we are sad that this might be our last flight for a while.
Hopefully not. Funny things happen in politics. We'll see you back, hopefully.
Some polite goodbyes as the last Saudi Airlines plane flew from Toronto to Jeddah yesterday. Today was the deadline the Kingdom placed to suspend all flights to and from Canada. Toronto was previously the only Canadian destination Saudi Airlines served.
Global investors are looking nervously at Turkey this week after its currency, the lira, plunged today to its lowest value ever. There's concern the country may actually be on the verge of a financial meltdown. Turkey's president blames the U.S., another rift between longtime allies. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, is visiting Ankara, stoking fears that Turkey may turn away from the West and form stronger ties with Russia. The CBC's Margaret Evans reports.
The world of the strongman can clearly be a fickle one. A year ago, Recep Tayyip Erdogan was given a boost on the world stage when the U.S. President Donald Trump congratulated him on a much criticized referendum that gave him vast new powers. Today, the Turkish president is accusing the U.S. of leading attacks on Turkey's economy. On the one hand, you're a strategic partner, Erdogan said, referring to the NATO military alliance. On the other, you stab your ally in the back. The Turkish lira was already in trouble before Trump imposed trade sanctions on Turkey last week. That was over Ankara's refusal to release a jailed American pastor accused of participating in a 2016 coup attempt. Overwhelming debt and a large trade deficit have seen the lira drop by more than 40% against the U.S. dollar since the start of the year. It tumbled even further today, despite government efforts to reassure the markets.
The basic problem, as I keep coming back to, is that under Erdogan, the economic institutions have been largely hollowed out.
Many economists say Turkey should be boosting already high interest rates and seeking guidance from the International Monetary Fund. But Erdogan has steadily increased his own control over the central bank, and he's not backing a rate increase. Today, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel talked up the importance of the central bank's independence, saying that a destabilized Turkey is in no one's interest. So far, Erdogan shows no sign of changing course. His pledge to make new alliances elsewhere, fueling fears that the dispute will push Turkey away from NATO in the direction of some of the world's other strongmen. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Okay, so just what kind of impact is Turkey's plunging lira having around the world? Investors began to dump currency from other emerging markets, and stock markets across Asia fell. The euro languished around its lowest point in a year. The Canadian dollar also closed lower to just over 76 cents US. A reminder that you can, of course, subscribe to our daily newsletter. The National Today takes you inside our journalism every afternoon. Go deeper on the stories and highlights the stories that you may have missed. For instance, today, Afghanistan's government says it's close to breaking a 4-day Taliban siege in Ghazni, a city between Kandahar and Kabul. But the message from the government differs sharply from the reports coming from civilians who have escaped the fighting. Subscribe at cbcnews.ca/The National.
If basketball's your thing and you're a Toronto Raptors fan, October 17th is the date you've probably got marked off on your calendar. That's the team's season opener, and they'll be up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the same team that knocked them out of the playoffs back in May. But there's another date coming up if you're a Raps fan. It's a lot sooner. This Friday, August 17th. That's the start of the NBA 2K playoffs. That's the league's esports venture. So yes, we're talking about video game basketball, but where big money is involved. And yes, the Raptors have made the cut. And one of their stars, one of the best in the world, is a young Canadian who has called Toronto home all his life. So just before the season got underway, I got a chance to meet him in New York City to get a taste of basketball 2.0.
You're looking at a new breed of pro basketball. 102 of the world's best in their sport are here inside New York's Madison Square Garden for a real NBA draft. But if you haven't heard of these young prospects like Moody, I'm So Far Ahead, Splash King, or Dimes, that's because you don't play NBA 2K. This is what the NBA believes could be its next big moneymaker, a new league built around a video game, their video game. But instead of Isaiah Thomas, Kyle Lowry, or LeBron James, players will be controlling virtual versions of themselves. There will be franchises, a regular season, $1 million prize pool, and with more than 1 million people who play this game every day, a potential for huge audiences wanting to see the best of the best. Is this for real? Ask the guy running the show, Brendan Donahue.
This isn't blind optimism. We have had success with this, and I think now if we put the weight of the NBA, of 2K, of our 17 teams, we put the weight behind it actually and to take a run at this, I think there's an audience there that's waiting for us.
And consider what really sets this league apart. Every single team here is owned and operated by its real-life NBA counterpart.
Mavs Gaming selects Artreo Boyd, a.k.a. Dimes, from Cleveland, Ohio.
And so, get drafted here today by Mavs Gaming, and in a very real way, you are playing for the Dallas Mavericks.
That's where the NBA comes in. What we wanted to stay committed to was, let's truly find the best 102 players in the world, and then we'll work to kind of unleash their personalities and their personal makeup and help turn them into stars. And this is their day.
And right here, a few rows from the front, 25-year-old Yusuf Abdullah. He's a Toronto boy, a bit out of his element, but he couldn't be more ready for his life to transform right here, right now.
Growing up, it was tough. I've moved a lot. Our family wasn't that wealthy. We've lived in Toronto community housing. Basketball was definitely an escape for me. It took me outside of reality. It was just a dream. When I played the sport, I didn't stress about anything. Once I picked it up and I started shooting hoops, I was in love with the game.
When you were starting out, were you any good?
Definitely not. I don't think I'm good now.
But it was important to you.
Definitely, it was definitely important to me, because I've been growing up in tough neighborhoods, where there's gang violence, there's drug deals going on. There was one of my friends, his name was Samatar Farah. He got shot and killed in Chester Lee, and it was tough. It was tough to handle. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's hard to think back to those days.
Yeah, He's one of the nicest guys in the world, and that's what my parents fought and argued with me every night to stay, you know, to stay home and to be in places where you'd be safe.
Yusuf and Samatar were like brothers. They grew up playing ball together, but Samatar's death really hit home. It was a sign of how dangerous the neighborhood had become over the years. And if staying safe meant staying home, in a way, NBA 2K was a path back out, a new escape, a new passion even. And Yusuf was good.
I was in the top 3 ranks, and we're destroying teams, and that's the way I like it. That's what I do. I pummel teams left and right and center.
When Yusuf starts thinking and talking basketball, real or virtual, there is a fire within. Bravado, yes, but backed up by a real-life basketball IQ.
Let's go, boy. Tell you, man, I can't stop you, man. Too easy.
I gotta worry about the cuts. I gotta worry about the rebounds. I gotta make sure I box out, play the pick and roll.
Quick fingers and a quick mind, plus a serious work ethic. Yusuf plays more than 40 hours a week on top of being a full-time student.
So, you love the game, clearly. You work hard at the game. Tell me about that moment where you're thinking, hey, there's a pro league that I could be playing in right now.
Wow. When I heard about the news and that the NBA is going to be involved, and I was like, wow, this is a second chance of making the NBA. I really pushed it to the limit, and there it is.
Told you, man. Money.
So, how many people have a dream just like Yusuf's? Turns out, a lot. More than 1 million people tried out, but after 2 grueling months, only 102 would make the cut. And waiting to find out who did?
Boy, let me tell you, that was the longest week and a half of my life. Next thing you know, I get a phone call from New York. This must be it. I picked it up, I got it. They called me and they said, Yusuf Abdullah, you made it to the 102. And it just started jumping out of my seat. I was like, wow, you know, dream come true. I was so happy. I was like, wow, it was just, that feeling was indescribable. I felt like I won $1 million.
But while Yusuf was basking in his dream being realized, making the draft, he also had a big problem.
Let me give you a little background story. My parents, they're really not a fan of me playing the game. To this day, they still don't want me to be in the 2K league. They want to tell their friends that you know, I'm a doctor, and they don't want to tell them that my son's a professional video game player. Like how they would feel embarrassed, and that's how they told me straight up while I was playing the game, and I felt disappointed. And coming from your parents, it's heartbreaking, you know. And it's like, I wish, you know, if you supported me, and you know, being there for me, I feel like it would push me to the moon. I don't plan on stopping. I want to be the Jordan of the NBA 2K League. The day before the draft, all I could think while I was getting the haircut was, wow, I gotta look good. You know, I told my barber, you have to make sure this is the best cut you've ever given me. There's gonna be a bunch of people, NBA TV is gonna be watching, the Twitch, so it had to be a great cut. I was just thinking about all those hours that I put in, and it's like, wow, you know, and all that hard work paid off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NBA 2K League Draft Live from Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. History is going to be made here today, 102 live.
While I'm walking towards Madison Square Garden, I was speechless. I was pinching myself, thinking to myself, wow, is this really a dream? Am I dreaming right now? I'm in New York, Madison Square Garden, the Big Apple.
Draft day. Ask any of the 102 guys here, this spectacle is a cruel mix of absolute elation and stomach-turning nausea.
What am I thinking? I'm thinking, wow, I don't know what team I'm gonna go to. You know, where am I gonna end up going?
Today, the rules of the game are simple. Already in the bag, a 6-month contract and a minimum guarantee of just over $40,000. But the catch, you have no say and no idea which city you'll be going to. You get picked, you pack your bags.
Jazz Gaming selects Kingsguard Gaming, selects Laser 5 Gaming, selects One Wild Walnut Center from California.
Wow. Where's my name? Where is my name? I can't believe it's been this long. I want to just be picked, and I want to know where I'm going. If the Raptors don't pick me, I'm away from home. Raptors pick me up, that's all I'm thinking about.
And then it happens.
With the 11th pick of the 3rd round of the 2018 NBA 2K League Draft, Raptors Uprising GC selects Kobe Yusuf, center from Ontario, Canada.
Man, I'm speechless. I'm so happy that I'm playing for my hometown. You know, I've always envisioned the Raptors winning a championship, and that, you know, as a Canadian, I just want to bring a championship home.
What were the odds, you might be asking? Well, there were only 4 other Canadians in the draft, and the Raptors didn't pick any of them. They all went to American teams. You never know what'll happen on draft day. And at the end of the day, another surprise for Yusuf, a call from his dad.
Toronto, that's why I'm happy. You know, the apple, right there, right beside you, the fam. You know, and friends. Yeah, I got my dream right at home. You could tell, like, he was so happy that I got picked up by the Raptors, that I was staying home and I'm gonna be near them. They were really proud of me, and it's the first time they were really supportive. I could tell they were supportive of me playing 2K.
During this inaugural NBA 2K season, Yusuf's going by the name Yusuf Scarbs, a nod to his roots in Scarborough, and his number, 35. It's what his close friend, Samatar, wore when they played basketball together, and it's a way, perhaps, to keep his memory close as Yusuf enters a whole new world.
It's a long road to get to where he's gotten. A real pleasure to meet him, too. And so, as I mentioned, this Friday marks the start of the NBA 2K playoffs. And Yusuf's team, the Raptors Uprising, they're the 4th seed.
And if you're a Raptors, you want to start thinking about using some of the shot clock, but Kobe says no. Yusuf from downtown.
And just so you know, it's pretty spectacular that they got this far after the way their season started. They lost 5 out of their first 6 games, but then won 7 of their last 8. Quite the hot streak. NBA 2K Finals happen August 25th.
It's a whole world I still don't get, even though that was great. Next on the National, a snake in the grass is on the loose in Ottawa. No, like for real, on the loose. It's our moment of the day.
I think it's a very gentle, very shy snake. It's not aggressive at all. The only time it would be aggressive at all is when it's eating.
Oh, okay, yeah. More on that next.
The series you just can't miss.
It's perfect. And so are you.
When Calls the Heart, Sunday at 8 on CBC.
Residents in an upscale Ottawa neighborhood may spot an unusual visitor in their yards. A boa constrictor is on the loose. His name's Murphy, and the snake made a run or slide for it Friday night, and his owner is quite worried about her exotic pet. The saga of this slithery escape artist is our moment of the day.
My concern really at this point is for the snake.
It was Friday night. Murphy had just finished his evening meal when he made his escape, slithered out an open door. Described by his owner as shy and quiet, Murphy has probably gone into hiding.
Most likely thing is the snake is going to seek some cover.
Cold comfort to residents who are now keeping a close eye for the constrictor.
It's kind of freaky, kind of cool though.
I think it's pretty funny. I really do.
It's Murphy's first journey to the outside world, and he doesn't know his way home.
If someone sees it, she'll get it back, but it's probably not going to crawl back into her house. I'd say that's super unlikely.
The snake is camouflaged. There are hundreds of private properties all around the area where it was lost. I think you'd be looking for a needle in a haystack.
So what if you come face to face with the slippery serpent?
The one that got out is roughly this size, and it is a domesticated pet snake, so there's certainly no danger to anybody.
But still, and I love how the city councillor says, I'm mostly worried about the snake. I would like to reassure, I don't live in this neighborhood, so I feel like I will sleep okay tonight. But I noticed that our producer said, you'll most likely see the snake crawling along their lawns. That's horrifying.
Yeah, I'll say. So interestingly enough, I mean, the owner is offering a reward, an incentive for someone to find the snake and bring it back safely. Like I would pay the reward not to find the snake personally.
Yeah, I'm not going to go try and get that reward tonight. I'll just let that happen.
Yeah, and we should say, if people do find the snake, call 311. That's what they're advising people to do. Don't try to wrangle it down yourself. That's the National for this Monday, August 13th. Have a good night.
Bye.